What if the reason your life feels out of control isn't your lack of talent, discipline, or luck, but the way you begin and end every single day? Listen carefully. Mornings are not about winning. Mornings are about design. They are about intention. They are about choosing who you are before the world tells you who to be. And evenings are not about rest alone. Evenings are where the real victories are claimed quietly when no one is watching. Most people reverse this. They fight the morning and surrender the night. And that one mistake slowly drains their confidence, their clarity, and their courage. Here's the truth no one teaches you. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. The morning is the system that sets the tone. The evening is the system that locks it in. If your mornings are chaotic, your days will be reactive. If your evenings are careless, your progress will leak away overnight. Success is not built at noon, it's built at the edges of the day. Think about this. Every meaningful change in your life started with a decision made in silence. No applause. No motivation music. Just a choice. The morning gives you the power to decide. The evening gives you the power to keep the promise. That's why mornings are designed and evenings are one. One is architecture, the other is battle. When the alarm rings, you are not waking up to time. You are waking up to responsibility. Responsibility for the tone of your thinking. Responsibility for the standard you accept. Responsibility for the pace you move at. And when the day ends, the question is not, what did I get done? The real question is, did I protect tomorrow? Because every night you either invest in your future or you steal from it. Every scroll, every distraction, every excuse feels small in the moment, but compounded over weeks and years, they decide the kind of life you wake up to. This is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Align how you start, align how you finish, and the middle will begin to take care of itself. This is where it starts, right here, right now, with how you treat the first hour and the last hour of your day. If you change nothing else, change this. Guard your mornings with intention. Defend your evenings with discipline. Because when you honor the edges of your day, you begin to earn trust with yourself again, and that trust changes everything, starting today forward. Why do disciplined people still feel exhausted, unfocused, and stuck, while others with less talent seem calm, clear, and in control? Because discipline without direction is just noise, and direction is born in the morning. The morning is not about doing more. It is about deciding less. Most people wake up and immediately start reacting. Messages, notifications, other people's priorities. And before they realize it, the day is already chosen for them. That's not leadership, that's surrender. A designed morning removes friction. It creates clarity before chaos shows up. When you design your morning, you are saying, I will not let urgency decide my values. You are saying, I choose focus before force. This is why the most effective people don't rush the morning. They simplify it, they repeat it, they make it predictable so their thinking can be powerful. Think of the morning like laying train tracks. Once the tracks are set, the train doesn't argue, it doesn't hesitate, it just moves forward. But if you don't lay the tracks, the train burns energy trying to choose a direction. That's what most people feel as stress. Not too much work, too many decisions. A designed morning answers 3 quiet questions before the world gets loud. What matters today? What doesn't matter today? And who do I need to be to handle what's coming? You don't need motivation for this. You need intention. Motivation fades. Intention stays. This is why mornings are not emotional. They are deliberate. You don't wait to feel ready to act. You act so your feelings can catch up. You don't scroll to feel inspired. You move to become grounded. The body leads. The mind follows. Always. There is a story here. A leader once said their mornings saved their career, not because they worked harder, but because they stopped negotiating with themselves before sunrise. Same wake-up time, same first action, same quiet space. Over time, their confidence grew, not from winning big moments, but from keeping small promises daily. Confidence is not loud. It is consistent, and consistency is born in the morning. When you start your day with intention, you reduce regret later. When you design the morning, you protect your energy for the decisions that actually matter. This is the shift. Stop asking how to be more productive. Start asking how to be more intentional. Productivity is a result. Intention is the cause. And it all begins before most people are even awake. When you quietly decide that today will not control you. You will control today. If mornings are where you decide who you are, then evenings are where you prove whether that decision was real or just wishful thinking. Because anyone can start strong. Anyone can wake up inspired. But very few people know how to finish a day with integrity. Evenings reveal the truth. They expose whether you lead your life or escape from it. The evening is not soft time. It is honest time, and honesty is uncomfortable. At the end of the day, your energy is low, your willpower is tired, and your brain is looking for relief. That is exactly why evenings matter more than mornings. When it's easy, everyone shows discipline. When it's hard, only the committed show character. The evening is the test you didn't know you were taking. Most people treat the evening as a reward. I survived the day, so I deserve distraction. And slowly, that belief trains the mind to associate progress with pain and comfort with avoidance. But the most fulfilled people flip the equation. They see the evening as a responsibility, not a reward. Responsibility to protect tomorrow. Here's the hard truth. You don't wake up tired because of the morning. You wake up tired because of how you went to bed. Your mornings suffer because your evenings leak intention. Sleep is not the only thing happening at night. Identity is being shaped there too. Every choice whispers a message. This is who I am, or this is who I pretend to be. Think about this. The evening is the last conversation you have with yourself, and the tone of that conversation sets the mood for the next day. If you end your night with chaos, comparison, and consumption, you wake up scattered. If you end your night with clarity, reflection, and restraint, you wake up grounded. There's a story of someone who couldn't fix their mornings, no matter how hard they tried. Early alarms, cold showers, motivation tricks. Nothing worked. Until they stopped focusing on mornings and fixed their nights. They chose a shutdown ritual. Same time, same order, no negotiation. And within weeks, mornings became effortless. Not because they tried harder, but because they respected the evening. Evenings are won through boundaries. Boundaries with screens. Boundaries with people. Boundaries with your own impulses. This isn't about doing more at night. It's about doing less with intention. Less avoids. Less stimulation. You win the evening, you don't need willpower in the morning. You wake up aligned, calm, ready. Because you already proved to yourself the night before that you can be trusted. And when you trust yourself, momentum follows. Quietly, powerfully, consistently. What most people call balance is actually avoidance. And what they call rest is often just escape dressed up as self-care. Real balance is not found by doing less of what matters. It is found by doing the right things at the right times with full presence. The problem is not that people work too hard. The problem is that they work without rhythm. They push all day, collapse at night, and then wonder why life feels heavy. There is no margin, no reset, no meaning in the motion. Design creates rhythm, and rhythm creates sustainability. When your day has a clear opening and a clear closing, your nervous system relaxes. It knows what to expect. Chaos drains energy faster than effort ever could. That's why structure is not restrictive. It is freeing. Mornings give direction to your effort. Evenings give permission to let go. Without that permission, your mind never rests. You lie down, but you don't shut down. You carry unfinished conversations, unresolved emotions, and endless what-ifs into the night. That is not rest. That is rumination. There's a reason athletes have warm ups and cool downs. You don't sprint without preparing the body, and you don't stop abruptly without consequences. Life works the same way. Mornings warm you up to purpose. Evenings cool you down from pressure. Skip either and something eventually breaks. People think winning means intensity all the time. It doesn't. Winning means knowing when to press and when to pause. The morning says, focus here. The evening says, release this. Both require discipline. Both require awareness, and both require respect for your limits. There's a quiet story behind burnout. It's not usually caused by one big failure. It's caused by never finishing the day properly, by never closing the loop, by carrying today into tomorrow and tomorrow into next week until everything feels urgent and nothing feels meaningful. A powerful evening doesn't mean planning every minute. It means intentional closure. Asking yourself what went well, what needs to wait, and what I'm grateful didn't happen. These small reflections train your mind to separate effort from identity. You did the work. You are not the work. This is how resilience is built, not by pushing harder, but by recovering better, not by adding more habits, but by honoring transitions. When you respect the shift from day to night, you teach yourself that progress does not require constant tension. And when that lesson sinks in, something changes. You wake up lighter. You move through challenges steadier because your life finally has a rhythm that supports you instead of draining you. Have you noticed how the smallest choices, the ones that feel insignificant, quietly decide the direction of your entire life? Not the big goals you announce, not the plans you write once and forget, the small choices. The ones you make when no one is watching, especially at the edges of the day. This is where identity is built, not in dramatic moments, but in quiet repetitions. Every morning you vote for the kind of person you want to become. Every evening you count the votes. And most people don't lose because they lack strength. They lose because they are inconsistent with themselves. They say one thing in the morning and live another thing at night. Over time, that gap creates frustration, then doubt, then apathy. Consistency is not about intensity. It is about alignment, doing what you said you would do, even when the feeling is gone. Especially when the feeling is gone, feelings are unreliable. Systems are loyal. That's why mornings are designed and evenings are won. One sets the promise. The other keeps it. Think about trust. You don't trust someone because of one grand gesture. You trust them because they show up the same way over time. The same is true with yourself. Every kept promise, no matter how small, deposits confidence. Every broken promise makes a withdrawal. Eventually, you feel bankrupt without knowing why. Most people try to change their life by changing their outcomes. They want better results, more success, more peace. But outcomes are lagging indicators. They show you what your habits have already decided. If you want different results, you must change the process. And the process lives in your mornings and evenings. There's a story of someone who felt stuck for years. Same goals, same frustration, nothing moved, until they stopped chasing motivation and started protecting consistency. Same wake, no drama, no inspiration required. Within months, clarity replaced confusion. Not because life got easier, but because their relationship with themselves got stronger. This is the part no one likes to hear. You don't need a breakthrough. You don't need reliability. You don't need more information. You need more follow through. Excellence is boring. It is quiet, it is repetitive, and that's why it works. When you design your mornings, you reduce friction. When you win your evenings, you reinforce identity. Over time, this creates momentum that feels effortless to outsiders. They call it talent, they call it luck. But you know the truth. It was earned in silence. So don't underestimate today. Don't dismiss tonight. These moments are shaping you. whether you notice or not, whether you respect them or waste them. Because in the end, the life you wake up to is built by the habits you repeat, day after day, night after night. What if the real enemy of your growth isn't failure, but the quiet habit of drifting when structure disappears? Drift is dangerous because it feels harmless. It doesn't announce itself as a problem. It feels like rest, like freedom, like I'll decide later. But later becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes months, and suddenly you're living a life you never consciously chose. Drift happens when mornings lose intention and evenings lose boundaries. High performers don't have more motivation. They have fewer options. They remove decision-making from moments of weakness. That's why routines matter, not because they are rigid, but because they are protective. They protect you from becoming someone you didn't mean to become. The human brain loves the path of least resistance. At night, resistance is low. That's when old habits resurface. That's when comfort whispers louder than purpose. And if you don't decide in advance how your evening ends, your impulses will decide for you. Every single time. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They plan their goals, but they don't plan their transitions. They know what they want to build, but they don't know how to stop. Stop scrolling, stop consuming, stop numbing. Stopping requires as much courage as starting. There's a powerful story behind this. Someone once said their biggest breakthroughs didn't come from doing more, but from ending their days with intention. A simple rule: no screens after a certain hour, a written reflection, a moment of stillness. At first it felt uncomfortable, even boring, but boredom created space, and in that space, clarity returned. Clarity doesn't come from noise, it comes from absence of noise. When evenings are quiet, your mind finally processes the day. Lessons surface, emotions settle, meaning appears. This is where wisdom lies, not in constant stimulation, but in intentional pause. Most people fear stillness because it forces honesty. You can't hide from yourself in silence. But that honesty is exactly what builds maturity. You begin to see patterns. What drains you? What strengthens you? What you keep avoiding? And once you see clearly, change becomes inevitable. This is not about becoming extreme. It's about becoming deliberate. You can enjoy life without letting it consume you. You can rest without abandoning yourself. True rest restores direction, escape delays it. When you win the evening, you close the loop on the day. You tell your mind we did enough. That signal is powerful. It allows real recovery. And real recovery creates capacity. Capacity to think better, decide better, lead better. Drift steals years quietly. Structure gives them back, one intentional ending at a time. What if the reason you keep starting over isn't because you fail, but because you never truly finish? Most people live in open loops. Days that never properly end. Thoughts that never settle. Promises that never close. And an open loop drains energy even when you're resting. That's why you can sleep 8 hours and still wake up tired. Your body rested. Your mind didn't. Finishing is a skill. And evenings are where that skill is trained. Not by doing everything, but by deciding what is done. Completion brings peace, not perfection. Peace. When you deliberately end the day, you tell your brain it's safe to power down. Without that signal, your mind stays alert, scanning for unresolved threats, unfinished work, unspoken emotions. This is why anxiety often spikes at night. The world gets quiet and all the unfinished business speaks up. But here's the shift. Instead of running from that moment, you use it. You turn the evening into a closing ceremony. Not dramatic, just intentional. There's a powerful practice hidden here. Ask yourself 3 questions before the day ends. What did I move forward today? What can wait until tomorrow? And what lesson did today try to teach me? These questions don't judge. They clarify. They separate progress from pressure. People think clarity comes from planning harder. It doesn't. It comes from reflecting better. Reflection is how experience becomes wisdom. Without it, days blur together. You stay busy but don't grow. You move but don't advance. There's a story of someone who felt constantly behind, no matter how much they achieved. The problem wasn't effort. It was lack of closure. Once they began ending each day with reflection, something shifted. They stopped carrying guilt into tomorrow. They woke up cleaner mentally, lighter emotionally, more focused strategically. This is how momentum is preserved, not by rushing into the next day, but by honoring the one you just lived. When you close the day well, you start the next day ahead, because you're not dragging yesterday with you. Evenings teach you how to let go without quitting, how to pause without procrastinating, how to rest without regret. These are leadership skills, internal leadership, the kind no one sees but everyone feels. And here's the deeper truth. If you don't control how things end, you'll struggle to control how they begin. Endings shape beginnings. Always have, always will. A rushed night creates a reactive morning. A thoughtful night creates a deliberate start. So don't underestimate the power of finishing, of closing the loop, of saying, this day is complete. Because when you learn how to end well, you stop living in fragments and start living with direction. One complete day at a time. What if the life you want isn't built by adding more effort, but by removing the behaviors that quietly sabotage your momentum every night? Progress doesn't disappear suddenly. It erodes, slowly, through small permissions you give yourself when you're tired. Just one more episode, one more scroll, one more delay. None of it feels dangerous, and that's why it is. Because erosion never announces itself as failure. It whispers comfort while stealing direction. Your evenings reveal what you truly value, not what you claim to value. When energy is high, it's easy to act disciplined. When energy is low, values are exposed. That's the moment of truth. Not in the morning when intention is fresh, but at night when commitment is tested. Most people think self-control means forcing yourself to do hard things. Real self-control is deciding in advance what you won't do. It's easier to hold a boundary than to fight temptation. Boundaries remove negotiation, and negotiation is where discipline goes to die. There's a reason powerful people protect their evenings fiercely. Not because they are extreme, but because they are strategic. They know that the mind needs closure before it can create. They know that tomorrow's clarity is built on tonight's restraint. Think about this. Every time you override your better judgment at night, you send a signal that your future self can't be trusted to make good decisions. Over time, that signal becomes belief, and belief shapes behavior. This is how confidence quietly collapses. But the reverse is also true. Every time you honor a boundary, even when it's uncomfortable, you rebuild trust with yourself. And trust compounds faster than motivation ever could. Motivation gets you started. Trust keeps you going. There's a story of someone who transformed their entire life without changing their workload. They simply changed how their nights ended. Same hour, same respect for rest. At first, nothing dramatic happened. But weeks later, focus sharpened, decisions improved, energy stabilized. The results followed naturally. Evenings are not about restriction. They are about alignment. Alignment between who you say you are and how you behave when no one is watching. Alignment between today's effort and tomorrow's potential. This is the invisible work, the kind that doesn't show up on social media, the kind no one applauds. But it's the work that separates people who feel stuck from people who feel grounded. You don't need to overhaul your life. You need to stop leaking it. One boundary, one intentional ending, one quiet decision to protect what matters most. Because when you defend your evenings, your mornings stop feeling like battles. They start feeling like invitations. What if the secret to unstoppable momentum isn't doing more in the day, but mastering the invisible hours at the beginning and end? Most people think productivity is about action. But action without structure is chaos. It doesn't matter how many tasks you check off. If your energy is scattered, your mind is cluttered, and your intentions are unclear. Momentum is built when the first hour and the last hour of your day work for you, not against you. Mornings are the architects of your day. They design your focus, your priorities, your mood. Evenings are the guardians, ensuring that what you built isn't eroded by mindless habits, distractions, or unresolved thoughts. When both align, your life gains an invisible force. It moves you forward quietly, steadily, without constant struggle. Think about it. How often do you wake up motivated only to lose energy by midday? Or how often do you end your day exhausted, restless, and unsure what you even accomplished? That's the cost of neglecting the edges of your day. That's the unseen drag on your life. But it's entirely reversible. The solution is deceptively simple: consistency and intention. Start your morning with clarity, not chaos. Move with purpose before distractions arrive. And close your night with reflection, discipline, and boundaries. Protect the hours when your willpower is weakest, and the rest of the day becomes almost effortless. Here's a story. Someone struggled for years, always chasing productivity hacks and motivation videos. Nothing stuck. The breakthrough came when they stopped trying to fix the middle of the day and began controlling the bookends. Same wake up, same shutdown, no distractions. Within months, their life shifted. Focus improved. Stress decreased. Confidence returned. Results weren't forced, they emerged naturally. This is why small, deliberate actions at the edges of the day matter more than the bulk of effort in the middle. You don't create high performance by chance. You create it by designing your start and defending your finish. One builds momentum, the other preserves it. The truth is harsh. You cannot outrun chaos in the middle of your day if the edges are neglected. The morning gives you energy. The evening protects it. Miss either, and your potential leaks away. Honor both, and your potential compounds. It's time to rethink your life. Stop measuring success by what you do in the middle of the day. Start measuring it by how you begin and end. That is where mastery lives. That is where real momentum is born. That is where your life stops drifting and starts moving with unstoppable force. Every sunrise is a chance to design. Every sunset is a chance to win. And together they determine whether your life drifts, stalls, or soars. Do you want me to give section 10 that closes the video powerfully? Here's the truth no one tells you. The life you dream of isn't built in grand gestures. It's won quietly in the hours most people waste. The final moments of your day are not optional. They are decisive. Every habit, every choice, every micro decision compounds over time. What you tolerate at night, you invite into tomorrow. What you honor at night, you multiply in your mornings. The edges of your day are where character is forged, resilience is built, and momentum becomes unstoppable. Think of life as a ledger. Mornings are deposits. Evenings are reconciliations. If you deposit without reconciling, the account becomes unbalanced. You feel tired, scattered, and frustrated no matter how much effort you put in. But when you balance the books daily, when you honor both beginnings and endings, confidence grows. Clarity arrives. Progress accelerates. Success is no longer random. It's inevitable. The most powerful people don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure. They understand that intention without follow-through is meaningless. They know that starting strong is useless if you don't finish strong. That's why winning the evening is not about doing more. It's about protecting what you already built. It's about saying enough to distractions, yes to reflection and I trust myself, to discipline. There's a story of someone who tried every productivity trick under the sun. Nothing worked until they realized mornings designed the map, but evenings decided if the map would be followed. They began ending each day intentionally. They reflected, they simplified, they shut down distractions. Weeks later, mornings became effortless. Their energy stabilized, their focus sharpened, their life began to feel owned, not endured. This is the lesson: momentum is invisible, but it is real. You create it not by chasing it, but by guarding it. By defending your mornings, by winning your evenings, by aligning intention with action, start to finish. This is where excellence lives, not in bursts, not in heroics, but in quiet, consistent mastery over yourself. So today, make a choice. Protect your morning, win your evening, design the edges of your life, and the middle will take care of itself. Stop drifting, stop reacting, start leading your own day. One deliberate morning, one intentional evening, repeated over time, and your life transforms quietly, powerfully, permanently. Remember, mornings are designed, evenings are won. Master both, and nothing in your day, your week, or your life will feel out of control ever again. This is where your power lies. This is where your life begins to belong to you. And it all starts and ends with how you treat the hours no one else notices. Your life is waiting. Will you design it or let it drift?